Hello, are you out there? I'm Mark with Homebrew Fever Dreams, and we've got a review here for our Ruin Queen of Oblivion. This is the Star Runner Ranger Conclave. Yeah, this has an end-capped ability that is so cool, it makes me want to make a ranger character so I can use it. But don't skip ahead. Let's get through this. Well, it's been a while since I posted here, but I figured I'd post the updated version of one of my older subclasses remade by the Bearded Russian. Much like the way of the Moonlit Dancer, the Star Runner Conclave started out as a subclass themed around Iolastrae. In this case, I drew inspiration from a particular bit of her lore where she had nearly killed her father, Corlelian, with an arrow due to the trickery of Lolth. Which did happen, and threw her bow aside, swearing her arrows would never hurt the innocent again. The Star Runners were designed around the idea of followers of Iolastrae who took up the bow in her stead, becoming her arrows. I made this for my first D&D character, who I had changed the subclass of with the DM's permission. Now, I'm curious though, Ruin Queen, are you saying that this is the first D&D character you ever made, or it's the first one where you homebrewed a subclass? Because your knowledge of just the story of Iolastrae, period, I mean, you must have read all the books related to her. But either way, I'm curious, so let me know. Star Runners were built to be divine archers, channeling the power of their chosen deity, a bit of a specialization subclass for archers. Yeah, if you wanna have the bow, this is so cool. So cool. I'm anxious to even get through it. This is the updated version of it, and I really like how it turned out. Here's hoping you all like it too. Oh yeah, we like it. The Star Runner Ranger Conclave. A smaller and oft-forgotten conclave, rangers of this sort usually worship of deities associated with night or the moon. Little correction there. I think it should say rangers of this sort usually worship deities associated with night or the moon. So get rid of the of. Like Iolastrae, Demeter, and Sahani. Sahani? Yes. It's not Sahanine. It's Sahani. While many rangers utilize the bow or crossbow, members of this conclave in particular specialize in and revere the art of marksmanship, drawing upon a connection with the divine. They rain down righteous wrath on their foes, seemingly from the very heavens, leading to the legend that the greatest of their number are invited to run among the stars by the grateful gods whose will they serve. Sorry, that was a tough paragraph. I apologize in advance, but I think the little of up there kind of messed me up. I was trying to parse that out. I won't read it again, though. We'll move on. Star Runner Magic. Starting at 3rd level, you learn an additional spell when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown in the table below. The spell counts as a ranger spell for you, but it doesn't count against the number of ranger spells you know. So here's the list. I am curious what you guys think about the fact that in D&D 5e, you get your subclass at 1st, 2nd, or 3rd level, depending on the class. I'm just curious where that's going to go in the future, like where we think it should go. I'm not 100% certain why they designed it that way in the first place. Only because, as we well know, many campaigns get started but don't ever get past the first few sessions. So if you're playing something like a cleric, you get your subclass buy-in, your domain, whatever you want to call it, right off the bat. So if you only play you only get to 3 or 5 sessions, which is common, that's going to take you through 1st and 2nd level. You're playing a ranger. I bet you there's a lot of rangers that are started out there that never get to the subclass selection. And I guess in my mind, and I'll continue on, I would see all classes, it should be the same, unless there's something I'm missing about the design of the game or the balance. I would say 2nd level, so that 1st level characters all kind of come in slightly simpler with less mechanics to them for that first session or two, to get players up to speed, get them comfortable, kind of break it down more to simpler things so the party can gel. And then at 2nd level, you go into those subclasses, the character's complexity blossoms, and you really settle in. So, and also that allows you to see what the group is at that point, right? you've played through the first 1 or 2 sessions to get to second level, you now kind of know what the mix and of the party, what the party's balance levels are. Do we need more DPS? Do we need more healing, more support, more tank? And then the subclasses from there can interlink and work with each other. So that's just my idea. Let's continue, though. So we got, at 3rd level, Magic Missile. It's a nice choice, guaranteed hit. Certainly long range, something a ranger would like. And it's super useful against taking out small vermin in a mass attack kind of thing, where you can just pink, 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 pop some rats or something away, or vipers. 5th level, Moonbeam. Very good. It's a persistent spell. Certainly good for bottlenecks. If you want to hold the doorway or portcullis, you pop that Moonbeam right there, and you challenge the enemy to come through it. So it's a nice choke point, and it puts off some light. So it could be a magical light source if you really are in need of that torchlight. Yeah. 9th level, Fly. I like this. It ties very much into the idea that they've been known to run with the stars, right? Because you could literally be raining arrows from above. You imagine this class, these people are using their bows to arc these arrows in, sort of indirect fire style, where the enemy doesn't really know where they're coming from, and they make the assumption, well, they must be above me somewhere. Well, at 9th level, they will be above you. It's really cool. 13th, Phantasmal Killer. It's a good spell, playing upon the dreams, the nightmares of enemies. So I guess in that sense, it kind of ties into nighttime, moonlight, starlight. So I can see that theme, but it is a good spell. I find it interesting, though, that it works against like constructs and slimes as well. But, maybe even slimes have things they're afraid of, And finally, your capstone spell is going to be that 17th level Swift Quiver, which is monstrously beneficial if you have a solid ranged attack. I mean, oh my gosh. If I'm reading it right, your bonus action provides 2 additional attacks with that ranged weapon. So you would be just chunking out a lot of attacks. All right, let's keep going. Ritualized Marksmanship. Also at 3rd level, your commitment and practice begin to separate you from your peers. And in moments of need, call upon your deity to reinforce your sacred specialty. You gain your choice of the archery or close quarter shooter fighting style. So archery is pretty point blank. No pun intended, because it's actually not point blank. It's a +2 to all attack rolls with your ranged weapon. However, close quarter shooter fighting style is point blank. It gives you the blanket +1 to your attack rolls with ranged weapons, but the trade-off, instead of that +2 to go to the +1, you can use your ranged weapon at point blank range within 5 feet without disadvantage. So it to me, close quarter shooter is better. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're playing an archer ranger, you probably don't want to be in melee range with your enemies. Like, just logically, the way you're playing the character doesn't really gel very well. You're not a tank. I mean, you're tough. You're a ranger, but you're not a tank. You're not in plate armor. So, but, I mean, it means you get to use your ranged weapon all the time. You don't have to switch out. If you're in close quarters fight, you use your bow. You're in long range fight, use your bow all the time. I like that simplicity. The +1 is nice to the attack rolls, and it mitigates partial cover, but there's a range on it. I was thinking, because it's not like out to like 150 feet or something like longbow range. It's 30 feet to 60 feet or closer. I don't know why that is. Maybe like you're bouncing arrows off of walls or off the ground or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's really powerful. And I would absolutely take it over. I would take close quarter shooter over archery, provided it's an option for you. Unorthodox Piano, so you need to check with your DM before you bring that in. But I would 100% take it over archery. So. Additionally, once per turn, you may invoke this ability to grant yourself advantage on one weapon attack, as long as it's made using a weapon with the ranged and ammunition properties. Once you have invoked this ability a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, you cannot do so again until you complete a long rest. That's nice. Now, I love the specificity that the Bearded Russian and the Rune Queen provide for us here, saying that, yeah, ranged weapon and ammunition property. Meaning, like, yeah, you could have a hatchet is a ranged weapon or a dagger, but it doesn't benefit from this because they don't have the ammunition property. And it is limited. I mean, listen, giving yourself advantage when you want is nice, but limiting it to your proficiency bonus is a good way to balance it, and it's per long rest, meaning over the course of a single long rest adventuring day, you're going to have multiple encounters. So if you just burn through, like if you go Nova and burn through all your ritualized marksmanships to get advantage on like 4 or 5 attacks, it'll be awesome, but you're going to probably want to save a couple of those back and spread them out. So it's a good design. It's a good mechanic to make the player sort of budget out these advantage rolls, but it's pretty sweet. Heaven's Path. Beginning at 7th level, when hunting or in battle, your connection to the divine grants you flashes of a more heavenly perspective and lightens your step. Nice color. You treat dim light as though it were bright light, and darkness as though it were dim light. Additionally, your movement speed increase by 10 feet. Your movement speed increases by 10 feet. You only leave traces if you wish, and you can no longer be tracked by non-magical means. Oh, I like that a lot. Now, a couple of quick things here. I like very much that this ability, Heaven's Path, specifies that you need to be hunting or in battle to gain your heavenly perspective. So say you're in town, you're investigating a murder in the 2nd floor of an inn where someone has been strangled the night before, and it's dim in there. You don't get to have the benefit of bright or even dim light. You're not hunting unless you argue that with your DM that you are hunting the killer, but you get my point. It is not in all cases, and I would absolutely expect a DM to hold their player to that. You need to be actively in the hunt or in battle to gain this ability, 100%. Because you're gaining the interest of your deity is what it is. If you're just doing mundane stuff, you're trying to read a book in the dark, your deity's not looking over your shoulder. But when you actively are becoming the huntress, right, or the warrior, that now your deity sees your need and they're interested, and they give you that heavenly perspective. So I think that's great flavor. Just for clarification though, additionally your movement speed increases by 10 feet, and the fact that you no longer leave tracks unless you wish to. Very cool flavor. I think for Ranger we all imagine Aragorn. Aragorn? Crap. Why am I thinking Aragon? It's not. Never mind. We all think of Rangers being that way. I butcher names so bad. I'm literally blanking on Aragorn. Aragorn. We're just going to let it go, folks. Listen, Frito wouldn't judge me. I think we can all agree on that. Sorry. A clarification, though. Your movement speed and the traces are not tied to the caveat of hunting or being in battle. You get these all the time. Right? The way it reads, I think that's the case. So your ability to see in dim light is tied to hunting or being in battle, but your movement speed and your passing without a trace or passing without leaving a trace is not. But I don't know, so it's confusing. It's one of the 4 points we talk about, right? Theme, fun, balance, ease of understanding. So I'm a little messed up on that right now. If you would clarify, so it's not a question mark, that would be awesome. Okay, let's move on. Star-touched ammunition. At 11th level, you learn a ritual to imbue projectiles of your choice with the wrath of the heavens. As part of a long rest, you can perform a 10-minute ritual with your druidic focus as the only material component. As part of the ritual, you can touch certain pieces of ammunition up to a number equal to your ranger level. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Channeling some of your power into them. Ammunition affected by this ritual remain imbued with your power until used or until you begin your next long rest. Aha, so you could not, this is one of those things where you couldn't every single night expend this ritual to build up hundreds or thousands of projectiles to supply an entire platoon of soldiers with, or archers. I like that. I like that you are putting a maximum limit, and it's dissuading players from using their characters like little factories. Like, I'll just do this all the time. Even if I don't say it, DM, every time we camp out or do a long rest, I'm going to do this ritual, and I'm going to save them up. And I'm going to be carrying around 25 pounds of enriched arrows in my backpack always, and I'm going to sell those in the market, right? Players would do that, but it really doesn't seem like something a Ranger King of the Wild would do. Aragon? Fudge. I cannot believe why am I thinking Aragorn? In Aragon. You know why? Because I guarantee you there's another fantasy novel out there where there's Strider from the Lord of the Rings, and then someone else is like, yeah, we're going to just take that name and make it really close, and they added like the R or something. Aragon. Fudge. I'm shamed. I'm shamefaced. I can't believe I literally can't remember this character's like rightful name. We're going to keep going. If you've clicked off and stopped watching, I would have rage quit like freaking 5 minutes ago. Just because I messed that up. Okay, here's our capstone. Starfall. At 15th level, you gain the ability to momentarily call upon the full might of the heavens. As an action on your turn, you call down a shower of small comets imbued with the power of the night sky. You can call a number of comets equal to your wisdom modifier, which impact at points of your choosing within 60 feet of you. Each comet is destroyed on impact, bursting in a 15-foot diameter sphere. Allied creatures caught in the burst are soothed with the calming power of the moon, regaining hit points equal to your wisdom modifier plus half your ranger level. Rounded up or down? We don't know. I would say down, but okay. Hostile creatures are burned with your Righteous Fury, taking radiant damage equal to 2d4 plus your ranger level. Wow. Though I would love if there was a way that those two values were the same and not different. Oh, I mean, I understand why you did it. They would be a beefy heal. Really, really beefy heal. But I would love it if those weren't different. Yeah. Okay. Each time you use this ability, any one creature can only benefit or suffer the effects of one comet. That's a good limiter. And it also prevents you from focus firing. Say you're plus 3, 4, or 5 of these comets you call down based off your wisdom modifier. You can't just bombard one target over and over with them, or heal your barbarian up, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, and he gets back like 70 hit points. So very well balanced, super exciting. What I love about this, though, is it kind of makes you the goddess of battle in that moment, handing out both life and death. You can hit the whole battlefield because essentially it's a 120-foot diameter, so the whole battlefield essentially. And you could heal up multiple allies and hurt multiple enemies. If there's clusters of allies or enemies, you can hit one sphere on that knot of allies and enemies in the scrum there and get all of them with that 15-foot burst. You could get 3 enemies, three allies with one. You could call one down on your own head for your own healing benefit. Super versatile. Ranged attackers in the back, you can get them. And the reality is at 15th level, you're going to have 4 or 5 of these based off your wisdom at this point, or you should. You're going to be able to hit everyone out there on the dang field of battle, either beneficially or detrimentally. So I would love to call this down. It seems so cool. Once you use this ability, you cannot do so again until you complete a long rest. So it's a one-off, which makes sense. This is a massive spell, and it would look so cool. Just the idea that maybe if you're out under the night sky, it is like the little stars in heaven, several of them twinkle and drop down magically to do this work. It could be fireflies, or if you're in the Underdark, it could be little globules of glowworms up on the ceiling begin to glow, pulsing brighter and brighter, and they drop themselves down. So just you would evoke the idea of these lights brightening and then coming from whatever's above you. I love it. So Rune Queen, Bearded Russian, thank you so much for your efforts as always. I know that was a long one, but I don't know. I hope people enjoy just talking through it. I know it's such a small, silly thing we do, reviewing these, because not a lot of people watch them, but I sure enjoy the conversation and just seeing into your creativity. So thank you so much always, folks. And I will be trying to get to these more regularly. The only so many come in, but I do apologize for letting them sit for 3 or 4 weeks at a time sometimes. I certainly in February was under the weather, and I usually wake up at like 5:30 a.m. to record these because it's quiet in my house, and the microphone has it picks up everything. So I can't do it in the daytime or in the evening. I've got, kids and family, dishes, all sorts of stuff going on. So, but being like sort of under the weather this last month, that getting up at 5:30 to like do this before work was like, no. So, at any rate, just a little backstory on what's going on with me. But it's March now, and I'm hoping to be a little more vibrant and try and get through one of these a week for the reviews channel. But at any rate, I've got several more logged up from a couple folks. I don't want to butcher any names. I can't exactly remember, but we've got several more in the can coming. Take care.